Hello, ghouls and gals. For the first time in a long time, I'm not going to dip from one idea to another and actually stick with the premise for more than a single upload. I know, shocking. As you can probably tell, we're going to be heading back to my little rewrite of the end times. In my last video, we looked at Chaos, specifically Archaon, and how he can make his journey south through Kislev. We've not finished that story just yet, but we did end it with Archaon managing to hold Middenheim following Vultan betraying the Empire. Now we're heading across the world, from the temperate forests of the Empire to the lush jungles of Lustria. From Chaos to their oldest enemies, we're making our own great plan as we tackle how the Lizardmen would fare in this version of the end times. Again, just before we dive in, I'd like to reiterate this is not me creating an entirely new bit of fiction, but changing some of the key details to hopefully make the end times feel more fleshed out and a bit less rushed. Anyway, we're not only travelling across the world for this video, as we also need to rewind time a bit to tell the full story of the lizards. So we're heading back to the first sign of the twin-tailed comet back in 2519. Upon seeing this sign of doom, Mazdamundi immediately begins preparations to defend the Lizardmen from whatever threat may be coming their way. He sends skink star priests to wake as many of his slain brethren as he can. He calls Kroq-Gar and his Saurus back to defend the temple cities that remain. The lizards may not be as proud or as numerous as they were when Chaos first came, but they can still hold the line. Teclis, as soon as he knows about the world's fate, meets with Mazdamundi and implores his old teacher to stand with the other defenders of the world. However, Mazdamundi cannot divert from his interpretation of the Great Plan. How can he spend his time and his power fighting the Elven civil war for them, or stopping humans from the needless slaughter of themselves? There is a greater threat than that to mortal life, and if the Chaos Gods wipe out the Lizardmen and their homes, the world will have lost its first and best line of defence. With a heavy heart, Mazdamundi cannot risk leaving the cities he has protected for so long. He offers Teclis refuge. Perhaps if the elves and humans fought in Lustria as allies of the lizards, they could repel chaos together and then deal with what Mazdamundi sees as the smaller problems of civil conflicts and this ambitious youth calling himself Everchosen. Teclis cannot accept that offer. The way to save the world extracts a heavy toll, but there is only one solution to the problem of chaos as he sees it, and it does not involve him fighting in Lustria. The two depart with sad farewells, knowing they will likely never see each other again. The unholy alliance that first tries to take down the Lizardmen is not one of chaos. Like the rest of the world, Lustria soon has to deal with demon incursions in its jungles, but it is the Skaven that offer the first real threat to their homes. Unlike in the real end times, the Skaven aren't yet fully united at this point. We'll save the story of that for their own video, but basically a lot of the clans are in different positions at this point. Queek is fighting for the Karak 8 Peaks, Clan Rictus is fighting the Dwarves in the World's Edge Mountains, Clan Eshin is being pretty sneaky everywhere as per usual, but two of the largest and most powerful clans have their sights set on Lustria. Ikit, the supreme mad scientist of the Skaven, has finally developed his ultimate device, a bomb that will bring the moon crashing down, capable of destroying pretty much any faction in one fell swoop. To appease his clan, he wants to use the device to destroy Tilia, Istalia and the Border Princes, so that the Skaven can finally cut out their own territory above ground. But Cryptghoul, I hear you ask, won't that blow up Skavenblight underneath? Perhaps, but who said Ikit cares about that? The rat just wants to see something go boom. Luckily for the citizens of the Skaven capital, Clan Pestilens gets wind of what Ikit is up to, and they have the perfect target for his weapon, Lustria. Ikit agrees on the one condition that once the lizards are dead, Clan Pestilens will help take the territory that Clan Skryre is after. That's the plan, anyway. As soon as the Skaven begin to invade Lustria, most of that plan is thrown out of the window. Even with Clan Skryre's machinery and Clan Pestilens' plague laying waste to the jungle and its life, the creatures of Lustria put up a good fight without a single lizardman showing his scaly head. Thousands of Skaven perish as they make their way towards Itza, the first city. As they've come from the south, it's the first populated city they'll run into, and it's also the primary target for this bomb. It'll crush the lizard's spirit to see their first city turn to ruin, and it'll also prevent most of their spawning pools from bringing out fresh troops. Things aren't so simple as just drop the bomb and leave, though. The Skaven are spotted pretty much as soon as they set foot in the jungle, and advanced parties of skinks set themselves up in the nearby abandoned cities of Oxel and Zotal. Striking from above and with guerrilla tactics, they keep the Skaven's advance slowed while Gorok and the rest of the defenders of Itza mount their defences. The Skaven can be slowed in their advance, but not stopped entirely, and soon enough the Battle of Itza begins. The full might of Clan Pestilens and Clan Skryre have been brought to the fore, and they are matched by the legendary defenders of Gorok, Mazdamundi and Kroq-Gar. The rats look at this form of scaly Avengers team-up and know they want none of the smoke. As rocks rain down above from pterodon riders and magic rips through the earth, sending thousands of rats to their doom below, Ikit pushes his big red button and gets ready to see Itza become a crater. As soon as the bomb goes off and the moon comes crashing down, Master Mundi realises what's going on and calls upon the great Slann that have joined him and those in the far corners of Lustria to stop the falling moon. The Slann reach out, bolstered by the strength and winds of magic, and manage to slow the moon for a time. Chunks still fall from it, killing hundreds of lizards and battering Itza's defences. The Skaven look to strike now and send as many Skaven slaves as they can against the walls, holding back the stronger troops in the hopes that the moon might fall and do the job for them. With assassins from Clan Eshin, they try and cut down the Slann from within the city. A couple in isolated positions fall, but those surrounding Master Mundi and the Big Toad himself stand strong, protected by Chakaks. The old temple guard fights as well as he can, but the city's defenders are starting to fall victim to the plagues created by Clan Pestilens too. Either from the moon above or the Skaven below the walls, it seems their end is near. Master Mundi can feel his strength waning. His heart is about to burst when he hears a voice inside his head. It is Lord Kroq, come to aid the Lizardmen in the time of their most dire need, just as he did long ago. With Kroq's strength, the moon begins to move, away from the first city and towards the Skaven lines. With a roar of vengeance, a cry that holds 1,000 years of hatred, Master Mundi splits the moon above the Skaven army and lets the pieces rain down on them. Clan Skryre faces heavy losses and Clan Pestilens is all but wiped out, but the lizards do not rejoice with their victory. They barely won the day. Their greatest city is in ruins and the jungle around it is now a burning wasteland. Rest will be needed for them to return to full strength, and yet sadly, they shall have none of it. From great rifts all around Lustria, the Chaos Demons pour out in their hundreds of thousands, if not millions. They have come to finish the job they started at the dawn of the world. They have come to end the Lizardmen. Led by Be'lakor, Ku'gath Plaguefather, Ka'bandha, Amon-Shakai and Azazel, this terrifying host knows that the majority of the Lizardmen have banded together under Itza, and it seeks to end them entirely. This is a threat the Lizardmen are not ready for. This is chaos, truly undivided. As we're not doing the Battle of Altdorf, I thought we might as well have Ku'gath be doing something somewhere else. The same is true for Be'lakor. Amon-Shakai is the strongest representative of Tzeentch while Kairos is babysitting Archaon, and Azazel again is Slaanesh best choice while Ankari is off bothering the elves. Unlike the new blood Archaon, who hasn't seen how much of a nuisance the Lizardmen can be, the Dark Gods know that just when they were on the precipice of their victory before, the Lizards held them back long enough for the elves to create the Great Vortex. They need to be eradicated, else everything else is at risk. And so, while Archaon's mostly human army settles itself in Middenheim, and it seems the rest of the world is busy enough with its own problems, there is enough time to send a massive army down to crush Chaos's oldest enemies. It doesn't feel right how the oldest enemies of Chaos are brought down by a single rat clan in the real end times, so we're going to give them the proper send-off they deserve. Drained by the fight against the Skaven, Master Mundi and the Slann do what they can to hold the line against the oncoming demon hordes, but they are simply too numerous. Millions are sent screaming back to the realm of chaos, only for more to take their place. The plagues of Nurgle are much stronger than that of Clan Pestilens. The warriors of Khorne match Saurus in strength and ferocity. The magics of Tzeentch outperform even the protective barriers of the Slann, and the speed of Slaanesh means the Skinks can't use their usual hit-and-run tactics. With the Slann still trying to recuperate, much of the final defence falls to Kroq-Gar. As he did once before, he and his Saurus hold the line for days, weeks on end, and yet with each warrior that falls, the chances of survival dwindle. Ku'gath Plaguefather brews an infection that stops the spawning pools from creating more Lizardmen. This is a step too far for Kroq-Gar, who in a blind rage charges out to bring an end to the greater demon. He carves a path right to Ku'gath, but is met not only by the rusted blade of the demon of Nurgle, but also the strength of Ka'bandha, who duels Kroq-Gar as his bloodthirsters set to work on the last defender's honour guard. Kroq-Gar pulls back to his line of defence before more damage can be done. He nearly gave in to the rage of Khorne in that moment, and he realises that the demons are winning this war. Like in the first great invasion, one by one, Kroq-Gar sees his best fall before him, until he, Gorok, and a few others are the only ones left standing outside the gates of Itza. Kroq-Gar orders that the others fall back to the inner city, that they protect the Slann until Master Mundi figures a way out of this, and he faces demons alone. Kroq-Gar brings down hundreds of Chaos's most powerful entities before Ka'bandha meets him in open battle. The two fight for what seems like hours. Ka'bandha clearly would win if Kroq-Gar did not have Grimlock, but the old Carnosaur matches the demon in strength and barbarity. For a moment it even looks as if Khorne's finest attack dog might be sent screaming back to his master, but Ku'gath Plaguefather interrupts the honourable duel, killing Grimlock with a blast of plague magic. Just before Kroq-Gar meets his end, he feels himself pulled away from the battlefield into a star chamber with the remaining Slann, dozens of skink priests, and the venerable Lord Kroq. Master Mundi addresses Kroq-Gar solemnly, saying that he has finally figured out the next stage of the great plan. With Kroq's help, he has realised that the Lizardmen were not meant to save this world. There is too much darkness here for Chaos to feast on, and so they must leave it. There is a way to create spacefaring vessels using the temples of the Lizardmen, but they will need time to get as many of their people, spawning pools and more to safety. Lord Kroq is performing the ritual that will take them from the ground to the stars and will stay behind. To be honest, I always found it weird how Kroq gets to live in the end times but Master Mundi dies. Sure, he's the OG Slann, first generation dude, but if we want to feel like the Lizardmen are truly leaving the world behind, their oldest relic should stand as a testament to that. Kroq-Gar volunteers to stay behind as well. He has lost Grimlock, his companion and friend, and knows that Kroq will be ripped apart if he alone faces the demon hordes. Seeing Kroq-Gar's bravery, hundreds of other warriors stand to fight with him, and they take the fight to the walls of Itza while the evacuation effort takes place. The lizards on the ground fight to the last, but as each Slann is boarded on a star vessel, they can no longer hold the protective barrier stopping the demons from swarming in. Before long, it's just Kroq-Gar and a handful of elites fighting to protect Kroq to ensure the rest can escape. Amon Shakai prepares a ball of fire to launch at one of the ships, but by the time they are in the air, Lord Kroq can spare enough power to block the Lord of Change. The two ancient sorcerers duel for what seems like but a moment before the big bird is sent screaming back to the void. Kroq-Gar gets his vengeance on the Plaguefather and rips apart three losers called the Glockkin for good measure, but as we fade to black, two of the Lizardmen's oldest and greatest heroes are left to fight for as long and as hard as they can, taking down as many demons as the old ones let them before they meet their end. And so, that is the Lizardmen in my version of the end times. Pretty similar to the regular story once again, but hopefully we can make their flight from the old world feel less like an isolated incident and a true beginning to the end of the world. Order has just lost its oldest and in some ways greatest defender, and while the Chaos Demons got just as good as they gave, they have eliminated one of their biggest threats. By not having the Skaven just do the job as well, we're again building Chaos as our big villain without giving them too much plot armour. Again, the only reason why Chaos could do this move was because Archaon across the world was feeling pretty secure. How will the world fare without their scaly protectors? Find out when we tackle the end times again. But until then, I'll be seeing you, ghouls and gals.